Okay, so you can only go so far with this tool as well in terms of cleaning out the stone. But at this stage we stop. We remark the lines that we protected earlier with a template. So we offer the template up, again like at the beginning, taking our time, making sure that it's in the exact points that it was before, to see whether we've overcut in any of our lines. Okay, when we have it and we're very happy, we check, this is pretty good, we just remark some of the lines. These are fine, maybe up there, maybe that little bit up there. Okay, and then we remove it. So we've redefined our lines again. The reason we've done that is because now we need to, this line that we've protected, we need to clean the stone out here. The reason we need to do that is because this is not smooth and we want this to finish at the same place as here. So all this stone needs to come out. But for that to happen, we have to chisel a line all the way around the perimeter so that we can clean out what's in between. So to do that, taking our time, we clean out this stone. But you always should wear your goggles. Although we don't need all the masks because there's not so much dust, still little pieces of stone can hurt. Okay, so now that we've cleaned out all the way around the perimeter of the stone, it's like a right angle from the line that we've protected, all the way around. When we've done this, we can clearly see where in the middle here is too high and where we need to clean out. So for example here, virtually nothing, and here we can see an enormous amount. From this point, generally speaking, I don't use tools because it's too easy at this point to cut in too deep and lose the possibility of having this exactly the same all the way across. So what I do is I use a variety of different hand tools at this stage. But first of all, we need to clean out a bit more of this before we can move on to that next stage. So I use a claw chisel, which has little teeth here, and I just clear off the top layer that is obviously too high. Without digging deep, without following this line as yet, but this line that I've done out all the way around, which is correct, is my guide. To be able to see where it's far too high. And I try and keep, to a certain degree, going along a similar line and work myself through the process of cleaning out more of the stone. It's important that when you get to the end, you come from the other side. Okay, so once you cleaned away a lot of the stone, it's starting to look like you're getting the shape all the way through. So what you have to do, the reason why we cleaned it at a right angle all the way around the perimeter of the area we're cleaning out, is so that we could offer a ruler from one point to the next. If they meet, if it's a straight line and there's no gaps underneath the ruler, you have the same here as you have here. So what we need to do is to repeat that process all the way through the areas that we want to clean out. But you can see from here there's a huge gap, so there's actually more or less a centimetre still to come out in the middle. So what do? So we get this thinner chisel and I do a series of tram lines through the middle, more or less 1 to 2 centimetres. I don't go right to the actual point, I go just above it, but I get a nice line, knowing that I need to go reasonably deep, but not going too far. Again, you come from the other side. Now it's important here that you don't go too deep in the middle, because you'll end up with a gouge, and you don't want that. So we do this line. It's not 100% precise. I'm purposely making sure that I don't go too deep, but I need to go reasonably deep because I want to make a good tram line. Then we get this file, which is diamond encrusted, and on the edge here it's very rough. And we place that there, and it's a bit like the ruler. You can see I've still got a long way to go, but with this you can file, and you keep filing and filing until you find that those 2 points, a bit like the ruler at the top, those 2 points meet. And we continue this process all the way through. Okay, so as you can see, I've got a series of tram lines all the way through, from top to bottom, from one side to the other. So these lines all meet. The ruler, if you offer it up, should touch on all the points. So now what I have to do is I have to clean out these parts of the stone. And because we've still got quite a bit of height here, it might be useful just to, not to go to the points, but just to clean it up again a little bit with this claw chisel. Because if you don't do that, when you come to use this chisel, which is going to clean it completely, you're going to gouge out big bits, because big bits will pop off and then you'll end up with a hole. So you clean it like that with this chisel, just to get it down to that sort of height. And then with this, I purposely made my tram lines to have a gap which is smaller than this chisel. And that's because I want to mark up this tram line with this tram line, and I run it through. And what you end up with, after a little bit of cleaning about, is a clean bit. And therefore you run through all of it with this to get it down a little bit, and then you clean it all off with this one. Okay, so once you've chiselled off the areas and you've got it clean, you check it with the ruler, and you see that this end meets this end all the way through. There's a few rough points still left. We've still got the chisel marks. So what we do next with this tool and rough sandpaper is you clean off the worst of the bumps to get it perfectly smooth. So you'll be working this, get rid of the last remnants of the tram lines that are run through here, and you would check it all the time and taking off little bits that are inconsistent. The same with this tool, quite useful for cleaning a curved edge. So you would continue to do that. With this side, we've also cleaned that out nice and cleanly with the chisel. The difference between this to this is we didn't need to do the tram lines because the actual edges were quite close. But again, we'll use the same tools, particularly this rasp, to clean out that, and then we'll have a nice finished surface. Okay, so now we're going to put in the neck detail. So for this we need to make a new template. It's similar, if you look at the paper template, it's this part here, but of course it doesn't exist on the main template. So we've made a separate template of that. We've offered it to the stone, I've drawn the lines on it. Also 15mm in here, I've drawn another line that links up to where the template goes. And now, with this tool that I protected the lines with originally, I'm going to cut out on the inside of the lines the detail of the neck. Also, while I do that, I'll do that first. I'll run over it a second time, and then I will cut out the wasted stone inside. like we did before, we've used the cutter to define and protect our line. I've also cut inside so it's easier to break. So we'll take it from this depth. The same depth there exists here, but here it goes to nothing. So when we clean it out, we have to keep that in mind. So when we start to clean it out, similar to before, we just clean out the stone. And then we use the various different tools as before. The claw, chisel to rough it out, and then the sharper chisel to clean it off. So that's more or less the end of this stage of the process. As you can see, our Brigadista is still a bit wet, so when he's dried out we'll give him a bit of a sand to tidy up some of the deeper scratches and some of the edges that aren't quite perfect. You can see that this Brigadista is slightly different from this one. This is a Brigadista in the middle of a row, and this is an end Brigadista. So this face will show in the final sculpture. So there we are. That's how we make a Brigadista.